But my point is, why is the mainstream media, and you're going to say what, oh, it's a money laundering system, yada, yada, yada. That's why the media is so behind it. But why are people like Piers Morgan, who I would think would be smart enough to realize that the whole war in Ukraine is a scam, right?
Because a guy like Piers Morgan has been groomed to be a broadcaster on that kind of corporate television since he's been in kindergarten, and he doesn't realize it. Because people like me and Jackson Hinkle you don't color inside the lines, we color outside the lines, which is why we'll never be invited into a. I had that same question asked to me. I was on a panel before they figured out who I was. They used to invite me to these media panels, and I was on a panel with all these Emmy award-winning journalists, and it was being hosted by an Emmy award-winning journalist. And he said, well, you're not really a journalist, right? And I'm like, well, did you go to journalism school? Which I knew he hadn't. And he said, no. I go, well, then what makes you a better journalist than me? The reason why you're sitting, I said that it just turns out that he goes, we don't have these meetings where we all conspire to be pro-war. And I said, I don't think you do have those, but you don't realize that all those people in those meetings, I'll never be invited into one of those editorial meetings because I colored outside the lines. You've been groomed to be in that meeting since you were in kindergarten. You don't even realize it. And it's the same thing with Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan said the thing about Jackson Hinkle, which was beautiful, was that he also pointed out that Piers Morgan was just as wrong about COVID as he is about the Ukraine war. Those are two cult things. Those are two cult things, and every war is a cult thing because you believe the propaganda. And the thing about Americans is that they're the most propagandized people in the entire world, except they don't know it. People in China know that they're being propagandized. People in the United States think Rachel Maddow and Sean Hannity are telling them the truth.
Mm-hmm. I know they're an idiot if you actually believe anything that comes from the black box. Even your phone, this Black Mirror, if you guys believe what's on it, just get a second opinion. Okay, now the last question I really want to get your opinion on. Listen, you and I both know Trump. He's just crooked as a dog's hind leg. I love Trump, but I'm saying he's not perfect. We know this. I mean, he's not come on. Let's just be real. All these politicians are, they're in on the take, I guess you'd say.
How do you get to become a billionaire? By helping people.
Yeah, exactly right. So, yeah, you don't really, you have to get there by stepping on the necks of the people below you. So let's just be real. I like Donald Trump. I think it's funny when he calls him Little Marco Rubio. I like some of the stuff that he did, but with this indictment, is this the nail in the coffin, in your opinion?
I think this is the nail in the coffin for the judicial system in America, because this is exactly what. So what did they say? Accuse your enemy of exactly what you're doing. They all said that Donald Trump was a fascist because he criminalized his political opponents and wanted to jail them. Well, they've been trying to do that to him since he won the presidency. And the Durham report, it revealed that was a hoax. Russiagate was a hoax perpetrated on Donald Trump and America by the FBI, the Clinton campaign, and the corporate media, and Barack Obama knew about it.
That's right.
And so the head of the FBI. So that's of course, they don't cover the Durham report in corporate media because it blows up their thing. So so what's happening with this indictment, with these three indictments, one being weaker than the next, is they're proving that this is what the establishment does. This is what they did to Lula and Bolsonaro. So the establishment in Brazil, they threw Lula in prison because they wanted to get rid of him, and they thought the center-right candidate was going to win. But then they screwed up, and Bolsonaro won, just like they screwed up with Trump. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton in the Democratic Party wanted Trump to be the Republican nominee. They did a thing called the Pied Piper theory. In fact, they encouraged Donald Trump to win when they were still golfing together, and they were still going to each other's weddings, right? So they encouraged him to do that. And so and so they screwed up. And then Donald Trump won, and they didn't know what to do about it. So they tried to they had to discredit him with character assassination through Russiagate. And then they impeached him twice. And now they're trying to criminalize him and his movement. That's what January 6th was about. And that's what these indictments are about. They did the same thing in Brazil. People don't know. So they wanted to get rid of the far left guy, Lula. And they did. They put him in jail. And then but Bolsonaro won the election. They didn't see that coming. That was like Brexit to them. They're like, what do we do now? So what they did was they let Lula back out of jail, and then they imprisoned Bolsonaro. So this is what the establishment is trying to do in this country right now, as they say Donald Trump is the guy doing that to his political opponents because he ran on lock her up Hillary Clinton. Well, they've been doing that ever since. And by the way, election denial was perfected by the Democratic Party in 2016 through 2020. Not one of them would accept that election, even though they said Hillary Clinton did. She did one day on television, and And then she spent the next 5 years saying how Donald Trump is an illegitimate president and he knows it, and that the Russians did it. And not only that, but people who are officers serving in our military are working for the Russians. Who did she say that about? Tulsi Gabbard, who was currently serving in those illegal wars that she champions. That's not good enough. You have to have complete allegiance. You can't ever criticize the wars, even if you're serving in them. That makes you a Russian. That's the establishment. That's what we're living in. And I think people see what's happening. Certainly half the country, I think most of the independents and the Republican Party see that these are political prosecutions. This is exactly what they accuse Donald Trump of doing. And I think that Glenn Greenwald, I watched him talk about it, and he says they're playing with fire. What people don't realize is that the people who actually run the country don't give a crap about our country. Just like Ned Beatty said in Network, there are no countries, there's only corporations and the money flow. And that's all they care about. So if our economy gets hurt, but the military-industrial complex, big oil, and Wall Street make money off for Ukraine war, that's all they care about. They don't really care about our country. And that's who the politicians work for. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Congress, and the Senate. They don't work for you. They work for the donor class. The donor class hates Donald Trump. Why? Because they can't control him like they control everybody else. And so that's why they've been trying to criminalize him since he became president.
Jimmy,
they used to love
that. Sorry, Jimmy Dore. Jimmy, my producer, Jimmy's giving this long answer. Jimmy, what are you guys doing back there? Now, show Jimmy on camera. Seriously, what are you guys talking about back there, Jimmy?
There's a lot of typos.
Do you not realize we got Jimmy Dore? We have an actual guy. I mean, he gets thousands upon thousands of viewers on his live stream, and you're over there having a full conversation. Will you shut the hell up?
I'm so fly, I'm aligned with the planes. My grind so refined, I got no time for no games. Ask yourself.